Sorry, I thought I felt the spark of motivation, but it already passed. We delay workouts and procrastinate on important work, all because we keep waiting for a feeling that never comes. For me, motivation always felt like something that should arrive before I could begin. 2 years ago, I was finally starting to feel like a real basketball player. I had rhythm, confidence, and it felt like I got better every time I practiced. But then, during one game, I suddenly felt a sharp pain shoot through my lower abdominals. I tried to play through it, but within a couple of days, I was sidelined for many weeks because of surgery. After I got back, I kept waiting for my motivation and enjoyment to get back to where it was. But it didn't. And the worst part is, I didn't even know how or when it would ever come back. But my problem wasn't the lack of motivation. And it's probably not yours either. Back in Norway, I would often ask my friends to come to the gym with me. And I would always go like, hey, you want to come hit the chest? And they would go, yeah, let's hit arms or something instead. Never legs though. But with that one friend, I always got the same answer. I can't. I'm too tired. I don't feel motivated today. But even he didn't lack motivation. He simply misunderstood it. Here's the problem. We often think we feel motivated when we in reality suddenly feel energized, happy, or even stressed. And this misunderstanding of motivation is mainly caused by us mixing up these states and feelings. Because motivation isn't something you wait for. It's the feeling of wanting to put effort into something in order to achieve your goal. And when we keep confusing motivation with different emotions, we also end up waiting. But the good thing is that motivation is buildable, and it always begins with a dream, goal, or a need that matters enough to sort of pull you forward. And it is these things that start to motivate us. But I feel like I can already hear some of you saying, well, I have goals, I have dreams, I just don't have the time. And to be honest, I've said it myself too. But then somehow still the time to watch funny animal videos on YouTube or scroll Instagram Reels for an hour. But that's exactly why I started using the 5-minute rule. The 5-minute rule suggests that only doing something productive for 5 minutes will decrease procrastination massively. You don't want to clean your kitchen. Clean for 5 minutes. You don't want to hit the gym. Work out for 5 minutes. 5 minutes is easy. It's like brushing your teeth twice. And once you do 5 minutes of something productive, it usually becomes more because you're already in that flow state. But here's the thing. Even with tricks like the 5-minute rule, some goals are harder to stick with than others. And that's because motivation isn't just about starting, which the 5-minute rule helps you with. It's also about what keeps you coming back and what keeps you sticking with what you're doing. And staying motivated becomes way easier when these 3 things line up. The first one is that the goal must matter to you. If the goal doesn't matter to you at all, you're probably not going to be prioritizing it and probably not going to be finding an excuse or the motivation to actually work on it. The second one is that the goal, or that you must enjoy what you're doing. If you hate what you're doing, you're also probably not going to be doing it, right? And the last one is the cost of pursuit can't be too overwhelming. You can love something with your whole heart, but still, if it's too pricey or even too time demanding, it will be very hard to stick with. Now, I want you to think about the last time you worked incredibly hard for a goal, a dream, whatever, only to fail anyways. That moment is tough, right? Because when success feels out of reach, it's easy to think that the effort isn't worth it. The late great basketball player, Kobe Bryant, also faced many setbacks, real setbacks. As a kid, he scored 0 points at a basketball camp, which already made him think his dream wasn't meant for him. Later in the NBA, he got criticized for being too young and selfish and suffered various injuries. 0 points, criticism, injuries. It felt like setbacks everywhere. But still, he became one of the greatest basketball players ever. And that's because he didn't only focus on the trophies and the championships. He focused on the process. He loved the grind. He loved seeing himself improve. And he loved the journey. And because he loved the journey, the setbacks didn't matter that much, because they became a part of the journey and not the end of it. And what I didn't know before, which science actually backs up, is that our brains start rewarding us the moment we begin, not only when we win. Research from places like Stanford's Neuroscience Institute have found that dopamine, the chemical we associate with reward and motivation, doesn't only spike when we win, it also spikes when we anticipate progress. And this is exactly why small, achievable goals matter that much. I want you to think about your major goals as separate marathons. To go from start to finish might seem like an extremely long distance. And for some of you, it might even seem impossible. But what marathon runners do is that they have these mile markers along the way, clearly indicating the next mile. So that every time they pass one and see one, they want to push a little extra just to reach the next step. And when they do it throughout the entire race, they stay motivated. What we can learn from this is to put smaller goals along the way to our final destination. Because every time we reach one of these smaller goals, these mile markers, our brain tells us, keep going, you can do it. Don't stop. A little over a year ago, I started learning to play the saxophone by myself. And let me tell you, I was completely horrible. I remember my face turning red as I tried to blow out a single tone of the instrument, and my neighbors, they probably thought a seagull or something had moved in. And because of that, I probably looked like that guy too. And because of that, I didn't even want to practice. And when I didn't want to home alone because I sucked, right? But what I did after a while, which actually started helping me a lot, was coming into the habit and building this habit of trying to get just a little better every time I practiced. So every time I finished practicing, I would feel a small sense of accomplishment, which would then make me want to practice again as soon as possible. And that's because motivation can act as a loop where action sparks dopamine. Dopamine fuels motivation, and motivation helps you move into even more action. And that's the loop. But what do we do when failure shows up? Because it always does, right? Failure doesn't break the loop, actually. Instead, it teaches it if done correctly. Because what do most people do when we get failure shoved right into our faces? We immediately go, I can't do it. I'm giving up. Instead, I want you to reflect on what went wrong. Ask yourself, what can I do next time in order to not fail? Because even failure, when reflected on, can spike dopamine. Because your brain also recognizes progress, not just in winning, but also in learning. And I want you to remember that failure is just a comma. It's not a period. Just a small stop where you can reflect and then get back to work. So if I could leave you with one thought from this talk, is that motivation will not come unless you start taking action. Earlier, I stood here pretending to do push-ups, waiting for this spark of motivation to arrive. That's what I used to believe. That motivation was something we had to wait for. And after my basketball injury, I kept waiting for this motivation to suddenly just pop right back up and make me the basketball player I used to be. That did not happen. Instead, my motivation slowly started returning once I took these small steps again. And that's because motivation, it's not a spark like what you see on social media. It's a system, a skill we can build by starting small, enjoying the process, and sticking with it. So the next time we feel stuck, we don't wait like before. We act. Thank you so much.